So, I've talked a fair bit about the original plans for the Jubilee Line in recent videos. When it was originally mooted, it was to be called the Fleet Line and would have taken a very different route. For the sake of clarity, I'll stick to calling it the Jubilee Line here. Just to give a recap, before we got the current line, there were plans to extend it from Charing Cross to Fenchurch Street in what was Phase 2. Then there was to be a Phase 3 which would take the line to Lewisham. There was another version of Phase 3 that would take the line to Thamesmead, but that's another story which I cover in another video. In fact, I cover all of these in other videos, which I'll link in the description below. The point I'm laboriously getting at is that there was an idea for a Phase 4 that would extend the line from Lewisham, taking over the railway line to Hayes and Addiscombe. And that's what I'm going to explore today. This section of railway is known as the Hayes Line, or the Mid-Kent Line, which is a bit strange because it's not in Kent. The line was originally built from Lewisham to Beckenham Junction in 1857, which would make this section of the Underground 6 years older than the Metropolitan Railway. Then it was extended in 1864 to Addiscombe. In 1882, a branch was built from Elmer's End to Hayes. Let's go exploring. The line diverges from the main line just south of Lewisham, so presumably there would have had to be a bit of extra track built alongside the main line to accommodate this. The first stop would have been Ladywell. The next would have been Catford Bridge, and here I'm going to do a bit of speculating. Notoriously, Catford has two stations right next to each other, Catford and Catford Bridge. The reasons for this are a combination of business, geography, and a couple of dudes who just straight up hated each other. Let me know if you'd like to know more about this weird situation in Catford in the comments section, and I'll see what I can do. But what I'm going to suggest is this: if the Underground had taken over Catford Bridge, maybe they would have renamed it Catford and perhaps even found some way to join it directly to the other station. At the very least, it would probably be marked as an interchange with British Rail. Then we pass through Lower Sydenham and New Beckenham. Next station is Clockhouse, a late addition to the line in 1890. And then we come to Elmer's End. I don't know who Elmer was or why his end needed commemorating. Let me know if you're better informed than me. Here the line would have branched off. We're going to stick with the Hayes Line for now, though. The line would have continued to Eden Park, West Wickham, and would finally have terminated here at Hayes. Interestingly, the current plans to extend the Bakerloo line speculatively involve taking over the line from Lewisham to Hayes. Now let's go back up to Elmer's End, and here we change onto the Tramlink. You see, this section of the Tramlink was originally the railway line to Addiscombe. It closed in 1997 to make way for the trams, but had things gone differently, this too would have been part of the Jubilee Line. There are a few extra stops on the tram line, but the first railway station would have been Woodside. The old station building is still in situ. One of the old platforms was saved, dismantled and reassembled at Hurston Halt on the Swanage Railway, if you want to get that Croydon ambience in Dorset. The final station would have been Addiscombe, not the tram stop, which is located some distance from the original Addiscombe station. We're going to have to take a walk. You see, the old line was turned into Addiscombe Railway Park. The nearest tram stop for this is Black Horse Lane. The site of Addiscombe Station is now the East India Way housing development. This wall here used to be part of the station. So in some parallel universe, this is where the Jubilee Line terminates. We'd probably be looking at quite a different tube map if this version of the Jubilee Line had opened. For instance, would the Bakerloo Line extension have been planned? As is, the current planned route, minus New Cross Gate and Lewisham, would still fill a gap in South London along the Old Kent Road. Who knows? Perhaps it might even have been built sooner. The tramlink would no doubt be shorter, or perhaps wouldn't exist at all. Maybe we can imagine that development in South London, stimulated by the Jubilee Line, would have increased traffic on the Wimbledon to Croydon line and so made it unsuitable for conversion into a tram route. Maybe now we'd be talking about the Jubilee Line extending through central Croydon and running into Wimbledon. This is all a flight of fancy, of course, but a boy can dream. But this line also raises an interesting political question. In 1981, the Greater London Council, under Ken Livingstone, introduced a plan called the Fares Fair scheme. I've done another video which I'll link in the description below. Long story short, this was a scheme to subsidise fares on London transport in order to make them more affordable. The scheme was challenged in court by the London Borough of Bromley. One of their central points was that Bromley wasn't on the Underground, Bromley by Bow is not in Bromley, and therefore the ratepayers were unfairly subsidising a service they couldn't use. Now, we can argue that this point was flawed, as anyone commuting from Bromley into central London would no doubt use the Underground anyway. But if the Jubilee Line took over the branch to Hayes, that would be in the borough of Bromley. It's unlikely that it would have been completed by 1981, but had there been a solid plan to extend the tube, would the council have challenged the policy? Again, interesting to speculate. Hi all, I hope you enjoyed this fanciful tale from the tube, and that you've enjoyed exploring the Jubilee lines that we might have had. If you did, then please leave a like and give some consideration to the idea of subscribing. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Would this have been a good idea? What developments might we have had if it had gone ahead? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll see you very soon for another tale from the tube.